I just walked through some webs. You know? All right, so let's just march for a moment. I just want to talk to you guys real quick. So this is a very short one. It's gonna be a very short workout. It's a mobilization type workout, a mobility workout. All right, so we're gonna be getting our body moving, which means it doesn't need that much warm up, and it actually doesn't need that much stretching because the stretching is the workout in a way. So it's gonna be fairly short. We're looking at like 24 minutes, you know, on the top end really. But I'm gonna talk for a second, so just bear with me. It's gonna be a couple more minutes, maybe 1 minute or and a half. All right, so I have this little slide here, you know, about breaking webs. All right, so the more flexible you are, the younger you feel. Why? Do I have a picture of a spider on there? It's not just to creep you out, all right? It's that when we sit in one place for a long time, it may be helpful to imagine that there's a spider spinning webs around you. Why do I say that? Because tissues in our body are constantly being, taken away and added back all the time. So the longer we sit in one place, that tissue gets, tighter and tighter in that position. It gets more spun up like that. All right, and so then you have, more trouble. You have more trouble. You're going to be more bent over. It's going to be hard to break out of that position. And so this workout is about trying to break the webs, just stop ourselves from being so limited in our body. So disclaimer, all right, I can't see you when you're doing this, so you double check, make sure you're doing it right. All right, not all exercises are good for all people. I will try to explain things as best I can, but it is on you a little bit there. All right, so talk to your doctor or get with a trainer to get some help if something hurts, in the joint or something like that, in a way that you feel like, no, that's not right. It's probably not right. So stop doing it. All right, and maybe join on the next exercise or drop it and get a session with a trainer or talk to a physical therapist or something like that. All right, so quick, one fun fact about Jeremy. I made this picture. I made it for all of our clients, actually. I took that picture. I actually parked my car. I ran out in the middle of 332, and I took the photo so you could still see the Canandaigua sign in the background there. And I had our clients stand in front of a green screen to hold their arms up in the air, and I added a truck over them, and I gave them the picture just for fun. All right, so that was it. My workouts are really paying off. I can hold a tall trainer truck over my head. I can't fit in that cab of that thing, but I can hold it up over my head. All right, so let's get to this. Let's get to this here. All right, so a couple options. Really, the first exercise is one of the hardest ones. All right, so I'm sorry for that. I apologize for this. The first one being really, really hard, but I'll try to show you a few options in that. All right, so we're gonna start off with the full version. All right, so this is the down dog toe touch. All right, so let me know when you're ready, Bobby. Set, go. All right, so here we go. We're basically in a push-up position. I'm gonna pop the hips up and I'm gonna reach the opposite foot. Then I come back down, reach the other foot. All right, so as I'm popping the hips up, I'm sticking my tailbone up in the air, trying to get a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. All right, so if this is too hard on the shoulders, you could do like a standing tip and reach, but I wouldn't go as far down because typically people bend their back when they're doing that, all right? You're less likely to bend your back here because of the other hand support. But if your shoulders are gonna take a beating, don't do it, okay? All right, so this is gonna be, some mobilization, but there is effort. There is calorie burn, with this. It's not for speed though, all right? So if you need to slow it down, do slow it down, all right? It's more for getting good range of motion with a good body position, all right? All right, so next one is the 90-90 switch. All right, so I'm going 90 degrees. Both legs, I'm going to lean towards this front leg. And then I'm going to flip over and lean towards the other leg. All right? Flip over, lean here. All right, leaning towards the shoe. All right, flipping back and forth. All right, popping up in there. You could try, hands free. It's a little too awkward for me to make that as sweet, but it is fairly good at working the hip flexor there too. All right, you could also try coming up a little bit as you do that. Try to leave your feet about the same place as we're doing that switch. It's just fine to lean back and do that too, okay? All right. So we're gonna do 3 rounds through this, all right? So we can get some really good mobilization going on. All right, so really work on the hips on that one. We have a lying hamstring switch. All right, so it's just a hamstring stretch. I'm gonna pull it towards me. I'm gonna let it up and get the other one towards me. Get to a pretty good stretch in there, and then let it out. If you wanna make this one harder, you could lift your back leg off the ground and switch simultaneously there, all right? So that way it's a little bit of core as you switch, all right? Gotta brace a little bit as you switch there, it's real nice. Straighten that leg a little bit. Press that heel out away from you. Oh yeah, definitely could use some of this. 3 rounds won't be enough on this one. Boy, those hammies need it. All right, that's good. We've got the hollow abs pullover. So we're gonna pull the abs in tight, all right? And I'm gonna reach back here and I'm gonna reach back over. Now, you do it with knees bent, a little bit harder is the legs out straight. Now your goal here is to be doing this hollowing with the lower abdominals, pulling those lower abdominals in, but also getting a stretch in the shoulders and bringing it back up. All right, so we're trying to mobilize the shoulders and train the core at the same time, all right? One of the things that happens is when we do this reach, sometimes people start arching their back. All right, so we're really trying to see if we can get a stretch into the shoulders a bit as we're doing that. Now, my shoulders are pretty tight, so some of you may be able to get your arms laying all the way on the ground. That's super awesome. You might try crunching up a little bit and making it so it's a little bit harder to get to the ground, all right? Reaching back, coming up, reaching back, and coming up. So it's some effort involved. All right, got the prone alternating reach. So prone is laying on your stomach, basically, all right? All right, so I'm gonna go here, and I'm going to reach up. Oh, that's hard, it's tight. Then reach up. With our hand on the ground right here. It could be right here in front of you, or if you need to, you can put it down lower here. All right, so depending on how your shoulder takes to that. I'm gonna put it here because I'm gonna go for a little bit of chest stretch as I do that opposite reach. All right. Now some of these exercises are actually like hard because you're fighting against your tightnesses. All right. The effort actually comes from your own body trying to move it, which in some ways is depressing. You can turn your rib cage a little bit as you do that. All right. So we've got the lunge switch. All right. So I'm getting down here, touch the ground here. I can then switch. Sinking down, nice stretch, switch. All right, get to a big stretch. We're not going to camp out there too long. We're switching. We're mobilizing, not camping out as much for these exercises. All right, so it's a range of motion, blood flow, active through the tissues. All right. Now you can do this with a chair. So that's one of the reasons I have this chair in the background here, is I could do that lunge switch up here. All right. Right in there. Dropping in and switching. All right. Stretching in there, straightening the back leg a little bit. Right in there. All right. So that's an option I have here. All right, so we're gonna do a triple extension, all right, which is ankles, knees, hips, is really what that is. So we're gonna come down like a little squat, but we're also gonna add in that reach in the arms, and extend through there as well. So I'm gonna come down, and come up, lift up on the toes. All right. If you ever wonder why some of your body has extra skin some places, when you're doing movement like this, you realize that you actually do use up at least some of your extra skin when you stretch up like this, all right? Maybe not all, but some, all right? So not all of our wiggly places mean that we're out of shape, all right? So hips kind of go forward a little bit, abs are pulled in to get this great extension in there. All right, ankles and wrists. I'm gonna do this from the chair. Just gonna be easier to see what I'm doing too. All right, so I'm gonna roll them around. All right, really focusing on in and out with the ankle. All right, so like I'm taking inside of my foot, pointing it in, inside of the foot, pointing out. And the wrist, I'm gonna roll around. All right, roll around. Just and special. Right? All right. So hitting the ranges of motion, extending and flexing in there. All right? Yeah. Vito's favorite, right? Yes, yes. Hope someday Vito can watch this one. This is great. All right. Rolling around. Now, if I do this right, like I'm really flexing into these end range of motion, like it actually is tiring up my wrist a little bit and tiring out my ankle a little bit there, all right? So it is getting some benefit in there. All right, so down dog, back to the top again here, right? So down dog with the reach, right there. Try to pike the hips up, stick that tailbone up in the air as you're doing this. Now, if you can't touch your toe, that's okay. You're just reaching generally towards that, that's fine. All right. The abs are in tight. Got some plank benefit. My abs are working here. But definitely should feel maybe a little bit of calf, a little bit of hamstring as you're going through this. Right at that pike up position there. If you don't have a little bit of a gruntiness going, you may be missing out on some of the fun here. All right, so there's effort. Lean in, switch. Lean in, switch. So we're trying to flex the muscles a little bit as we're mobilizing there, right? Some of the best flexibility work also has a little element of strengthening in there. So that's really what this mobility is about, is that we're using some strength as we're taking the body through these ranges of motion. All right. Now you could do this more dramatically, but you don't have to. Hands free, that's an option. The transition is pretty hard from one side to the other. All right, lying hamstring switch. All right, so one leg is up, other leg is out. I'll do it off the ground, but again, you can set it down in between, all right? So we're holding there, we're pulling it towards us a little bit. Till it's pretty uncomfortable. And I'd actually use your leg muscles and pull it towards you with the leg muscles too. So you're actively pulling this way. You're assisting some with the arms too. But there are some flexing going on. There's some flexing of the leg muscles trying to go towards, farther back that way, like you're trying to touch your toes to the floor there. I'm gonna see if we can take advantage of reciprocal inhibition, which is a principle God put in our bodies that when you flex one side, the other side relaxes more. All right, so the hollow abs pull over there. So again, you can do this with bent knees. And right in here, reaching back and coming up. All right, a little bit harder with legs straighter. The reason for that is the back starts to arch a little bit more. And you're gonna have to use your abs a little extra. All right, so hollowing out, pulling the abs in, like you're trying to get your abs to disappear into the floor there. All right. So one of our big benefits is some core work right there too. So a shoulder stretch with some core work. Oh, I can feel that tight in the shoulders. I'll be thankful that I did this. All right, you will be too. Things will move better. It's nice. All right, so a prone alternating reach. So my stomach here, reaching up, turn, lift the ribs a little bit. Keep those abs flexing a little bit. You may feel this come down your lower back. Don't over torque it, all right? It's gonna land hard in the weakest place, all right? Could be in the upper back, in your arm. Could be down lower, more in the lower back, all right? It's okay if it's working, but we don't want to cramp up, all right? Turn the head, look up towards the ceiling, follow that hand. And as you're looking, just a little bit of chance to get the neck mobilized a little bit here too. All right, we have the lunge switch. All right. Oh, I already feel like I can drop in here more than I could the first round, all right? This is good, this is good. Whew. Now this is something, perhaps, like really, even just one round through this could be like a morning routine, all right? So you come back to this video again, you just play the first round through, all right? And just get your body woken up, all right? Nighttime, we get a lot of stiffness. Our body does a lot of repair, but it also means there's a few webs on our body. We need to break through those webs first thing in the morning, all right? And if we do that, we actually will function most of the day a little bit better, all right? Unless we sit for like hours on end in one place, and then we have to break the webs again, all right? Triple extension. Triple extension, I'll face you this time here. All right, so coming down, and down. Good chance to stretch in the shoulders, all right? To stretch the ankles, knees, hips. One of the big ones I want to get is the hips out of this one. As the hips push forward, the butt tightens a little bit here as we reach, all right? And one thing I can notice about myself in there is that my shoulders limit me a bit here, all right? Especially compared to Hope, our 7-year-old, my goodness. All right. I'm not very close to getting my back bend, all right? And maybe I never will be, but that's okay. Getting ourselves closer is part of what this game is about, all right? So ankles, wrists, all right? All right, so you wrap it around. I really like the ankle part of this one, all right? The wrist is nice too, but it's a bonus, all right? But you're gonna feel there's a lot of stuff around the ankle. There's these muscles around the ankle. A lot of our balance muscles are in our feet and ankles, all right? Get a little twist in the hands here. So I rotate around there. Our wrists are supposed to be able to rotate in and out there, but we do lose some of that over time there. All right, one more round and we've gotten it done, all right? So we're very, very mobile, ready to rock. All right, so down dog with a reach. Hopefully, you can feel what I can feel right now, all right? These things are moving a little better, all right? Your joints feel like a little bit less like Oscar the Grouch, all right? Although kids nowadays may not know what that is, but that's not our audience, so we're fine. Reaching, hips pike up. Hips up. Oh, yeah. You could do that standing one too, but just don't bend your back when you're doing it, all right? 90-90 switch. All right. So you can do that hands free or hands down. Hands free, just be careful that your lower back's not bending too much when you're doing that. So sometimes it's better to drop back and support your back on the switch. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna feel like a young Jeremy again. Let's go back a really long way because I was super tight in high school. So we gotta go farther than that. I'm more flexible now than I was in high school. All right, lying hamstring switch. All right. Back when I was under 4 feet tall, I was a lot more flexible. At least I imagine I was. I could have been this tight the whole time. Switching, pulling, flexing. Hamstrings are really uncomfortable to stretch. They're very uncomfortable to stretch. Press that heel up towards the ceiling. Oh, nice. Oh, all right, hollow abs, pull over. So I'm gonna do leg straight here, reach over and up. And I'll try to really feature this pull in, all right? Just got the arm movement, but also pulling in super hard, all right? Like somebody's stepping on your stomach. All right, pull the stomach in. You can almost imagine like somebody's got a vacuum seal thing hooked up to your belly button. And really pulling in, pulling in, and getting this reach over, some shoulder stretch. Now some of this mobility stuff, you know, feels like, oh, I could be strength training or could be doing cardio. Or, boy, if you actually do this kind of work, it does, you notice it, you notice the benefit and you feel younger, all right? All right, so we got the prone reach. There's some of you that might be able to get to where you can almost point straight up in the air, all right? That's not me. For various reasons, but my upper back is getting some good work. Really improving posture in that area, all right? If we don't work on this, we will end up slouching because I don't know too many old people who are bent over that said, yes, finally achieved my goal of only being able to see my shoes. Yes, I finally did it. Nobody has that goal. I mean, well, maybe there's gotta be some weirdo, maybe, but really, mostly nobody has that goal. All right, lunge switch, but it still happens, and it happens when you don't do anything proactive about it. All right, it's almost a guarantee if you're not have goal oriented about fighting that. All right. Most of the people you find that are older, that have great posture, they are aware. They are aware of their posture. I would like to be one of them. All right. Sink it in, yes. So there's a strength component as we come up and down out of that. Definitely a really good stretch in there too. Ooh, all right, triple extension. Coming down, This is basically what you do when you jump. All right? When you jump, you follow through all these joints. They line up and they coordinate together. Jumping is great exercise, and it's not bad exercise no matter how old you are. But you probably need to work into it a little bit, starting with something like this, and then maybe light little hops. All right? You probably shouldn't go straight for the world record. When I bend over, you're gonna notice my back is not bending so much. All right? Try to load through the hips more. All right? Not through my spine. It's a good practice. It's a good practice. Keep the chest out. And get that extension through other places, not your spine as much. All right, so the abs are holding tighter. All right? Ankles and wrists. Got my little chair here. All right, in and out there. All right, I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna rotate a little more this time. That was a good one. So you got wrist rotation, but you also have the actual bones in your forearm actually will rotate over each other, and that's part of like the turning the doorknob. All right, is the bones actually rotate around each other. So there's a certain position where they actually crisscross. They make like an X when you're rotated over this way. All right. So you coordinate together. Ooh, yeah, there you go. Turn the legs a little bit, turn the arms a little bit. Good. All right, so important areas, important mobility to sustain in our body. All right. So I don't really have we don't need to really do a stretch. If that was a stretch, you may conclude from here, but I do have a little thought for the day. I like doing these. It's kind of good. I like pull some ancient wisdom out of the Bible here. You don't have to be a Christian to appreciate a lot of these things. This one, does have a little bit more of that Christian, intensity to it, because it really has a promise for us. And from Jeremiah 38. A lot of these old prophets were talking about times to come. Some of them were predicting disaster, some of them were predicting a lot of comfort. All right? And really that's the day we're waiting for. In that day, declares the Lord Almighty, I will break the yoke off their necks, tear off their bonds. No longer will foreigners enslave them. All right? And so, some of this promise is the promise of what's coming for us. Right now it still feels like, sometimes I still feel like a slave to so many things. All right, my own impulses and desires. These things that drive me. They come from outside. And it feels like things force me to do certain things. To behave a certain ways and those kind of things. And so, the sin, in this world, drives us, whips us, enslaves us. And we have a promise that it's not going to always be that way. All right, so we get these webs wrapped around us, physically, that restrict us and minimize us and crush us and bring us in and bend us over, But that also is happening to us, spiritually as well. That stuff is coming in and oppressing us and limiting us, and there's a promise that someday that'll be gone. All right. And I think, you can actually experience some of that freedom now when you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Is that you really believe that, yeah, He existed. He was the Son of God. He came, died, rose again. And there's a lot of evidence of it. But it's a choice. I can't 100% convince anybody, of this. It has to be a faith decision. All right. But if you do have that faith decision and you commit to it, I do get a lot of peace and some relief from the pressure, the yoke, is broken off in many ways. And sometimes I forget, but when I remember again, the pressure is lightened. All right, so I do wish that for you as well. All right, let me say a quick prayer. God, I want these people to break the webs physically on their bodies, but if there are some deeper webs that are really holding them back, God, I ask that you would break them. send your Holy Spirit to work in their hearts, in their souls, and to break them out of the bondage, the terrible yoke, the heavy weight that they feel, and that they can feel, some of this hope of something greater, that's available now, and even more available when Jesus returns. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. Have fun. Be safe. God bless.